400 PGA command. 1,400 all units. We will be suspending play.
Run for cover.
It was just before 6:30 tonight when the skies turned ominous and the weather got dangerous.
Right now we have a very strong cell moving rapidly this way with a lot of electrical activity.
Ring the alarm for everybody to get off.
As lightning lit up the sky, Tiger had to head for the safety of the clubhouse as fans ran for cover.
Well, it's scary when people from Minnesota are scared because we're from California.
It's starting to look dangerous now.
The timing couldn't have been worse for Jeff Piles, who drove all the way here from Maryland.
I waited 4.5 hours on 17, drove 1,130 miles, wanted to see Tiger. He's on the tee box at 17, and what happens? They blow the whistle.
Still, tonight, the fans note safety has to come first.
Everyone's got to leave. Isn't it sad?
And authorities here say there's no guarantee it won't happen again tomorrow.
If it is severe, it may well delay play tomorrow too.
With chainsaws and choppers providing Saturday's somber soundtrack,
I knew it was gone.
Eula Jensen got her first look at her daughter's burned-out home.
When you're a single parent with 4 children, it's kind of hard to take, not knowing where she'll go from here.
Eula's grandchildren loved playing in these woods.
This is my first time seeing it.
Now the woods have taken the only home they've ever known.
These marbles that I had in my room, they were in my dresser drawer. They were all circled and round. They all just melted together.
A dirt road away, a fieldstone chimney is all that's left of another neighbor's house. It could have been Helen Strang's home, too.
That old black smoke would just a coming.
One of Helen's neighbors took this picture of the fire headed her direction about the time Brainerd firefighters pulled in her drive.
This is a biggie. He said, you get in your car and leave.
She left, they stayed, and saved her home, leaving a note on her kitchen table and $5 for the juice they drank.
I thank God over and over. And them firemen, I owe it all to them.
When the firemen pulled back in her yard this morning,
I'm just checking to see how you are today.
You might say Helen Strang offered a healthy return on their investment.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's fine. Sometime you stop at the fire hall and say hi, because the guys would love to see you.
I'm just so thankful to them.
Boyd Hupert, KARE 11 News, Barrows.
Oh, I could see the funnel cloud coming closer and closer really fast.
Lady Smith's twister leaves telltale fingerprints.
And this is what it used to look like. And now that's what it looks like.
And a familiar scent.
The fresh cut wood, you can smell the smell of the wet insulation.
Unforgettable odors for Dean Rowland, Siren, Wisconsin's police chief.
I mean, here it's been a year and 2 months for me, and it hits me again.
Last summer, the beast clawed its way through Siren, also destroying dozens of homes and businesses.
You guys will make it, we did.
Now Rowland offers his helping hand to Lady Smith.
You know, trees can grow again, and windows and sidings can all be fixed. I'm glad you're okay.
Thanks for coming.
All right, thank you.
You know, after what Siren went through, maybe they'd want to take the day off and stay home. But here he was. I was impressed with him.
And a half dozen of Rowland's Siren officers try getting Lady Smith on the road to recovery.
They helped us out a lot, and we're returning the favor.
I would have been finishing up the fence that blew down in my tornado.
A year later, Chief Rowland still personally rebuilding and recovering.
Watching the people sift through their own belongings brought back a lot of memories that weren't necessarily fun.
But Rowland's here.
You still got a house.
No, we got a rental property.
Offering hope.
But you got a roof.
We got a roof.
And a tomorrow.
We became stronger, we became bigger, newer.
While leaving Siren's fingerprint on Lady Smith.
I've noticed that in these people too. Very resilient, very strong. They're going to get through it. It's going to be okay.
Wrestling's an intense sport, obviously.
Keep it! Get the leg, take the leg!
It's a rough sport. You gotta be tough for it.
But you've got 2 wrestlers with 1 official.
Flatten it out, Aaron! Come on!
You don't get it much safer than that. Good work. You had to get that arm drilled through when he had it. I know it's tough when he's holding on to your neck.
It's usually not a
life-threatening or threatening in any way sport.
Press him now!
It's unbelievable.
Gotta break him down!
So what's the info on him now?
Nothing. All right, they've taken him to the hospital. That's all that we can tell you. They're giving him all the care they can. Don't go under!
It was a 9th grade student, Dennis Kingsbury from St. Croix Lutheran, was in the middle of the match and he was thrown to the mat.
Break!
Twisted his neck funny.
The next thing we know, Dennis didn't get up.
Keep moving!
They thought he was just out of breath or something.
Pull up to your base.
Then he started shaking and seizuring.
Come my way!
Very freak. There was nothing that indicated this should be happening.
As soon as I heard the word CPR, I was just scared.
Start the clock!
And then I just didn't want to watch that much anymore.
3 near fall, red!
And we're a Christian school, we're just all praying. It's hard to go on, but we're all praying that he's doing okay.
Yeah, we're pretty much leaving it in the Lord's hands because his are better than ours.
Is he okay?
I have no info from other than what I've told you guys. The team is especially shocked because we had another injury last week that ended one of our other teammates' career in wrestling. Oh, God. I just got a call from our head coach that our wrestler died at the hospital.
I just wish it wouldn't have happened.
We're going to pull out of this thing. There are more important things in wrestling, and we can't understand it. We know that Dennis is a lot better off now. Thank you. Thanks so much. We've all got the same goal. He just got there first.
In the middle of the biggest event in its history,
Everybody's talking about it.
Park City, Utah has flipped its lid.
We're going for the golden shopping.
The line started forming on Main Street an hour and a half before the stores opened.
I've never seen anything like this before. It's just a frenzy in the whole town.
I'm a little nervous. I just don't want people to like push me over and...
You'd be nervous too if you worked at the one shop in town with the hat.
I'm just doing what I have to do to get these berets.
I'm trying to make everybody else jealous.
Since debuting atop U.S. Olympic athletes at opening ceremonies, this baby's beanie has become the beanie baby of the 2002 Winter Games.
As soon as the U.S. team came walking out, my wife and the kids said, we gotta have one of those.
Are we ready to rock and roll?
3, 2, 1!
The hat's creator, Toronto-based Roots,
They're not here yet. Not till noon.
can't ship them across the border fast enough.
We've been out since probably midday Saturday.
2 out, 2 in.
Now 500 are due in Park City.
They're not letting the whole line in.
Not near enough.
I'm not a beret kind of guy, so I came in the non-hat line, and then I got harassed by some of the, militant hat people.
I'm the hero for today.
Please don't rush the cash desks. There are only 5 per person.
Stop pushing me.
Looks like all the checking won't be in hockey this year.
And weren't you behind me in line?
And the Olympics' first hat trick
Yes! I got my beret.
didn't happen on the ice.
I don't care about the rest of you people. No. I'm sorry about that, but that's just truly how I feel.
Sold out. Hats are sold out until tomorrow.
Yeah, people cruise right along. Yeah.
These days, it's a race. And life's boundaries, those everyday limits, often get blown away.
Every day you see people speed. I mean, very seldom you see them go a speed limit.
Speed, like an illegal drug,
Slow down out here.
seems to blur drivers' vision.
I've got State Patrol written all over the car, and people will still come up and pass me. 70s, 75s.
And Trooper Jim Bailiff clearly sees drivers
68.
cross the line daily.
If it means anything, I haven't seen a 55 yet.
Trooper Bailiff says typically in-town interstate drivers run 15 over the law's limit.
On the top of the hill is 70.
And MnDOT's most recent numbers show half the drivers breaking urban freeway speed limits.
71.
As Bailiff sees it, drivers keep pushing.
That black car right there was 73.
Faster
That one right there is at 77.
and faster.
80 right there, left lane.
Doesn't matter if the limit's 55 near the Capitol.
Any reason why you're going so fast? When I told him I had him clocked at 80, he just shook his head.
Or 60 by the airport.
It's definitely a racetrack down there.
The limit's just another number out
A
here.
lot of 75s. 76?
81, 83 at the bottom of the hill, 84, 85, 86.
Just try towing the line on the highway. We tried on that stretch of 494 by the airport, and just watch as car after car flies by.
I had one on a Sunday morning here not too long ago. Again, I think we clocked that one at 95.
Sadly, Trooper Bailiff knows speed can cross another seemingly distant boundary.
It's not worth it. It's not worth your life.
And this is where we spent time together.
Far from the highway's hum, Deanna Olson finds life's joys and sorrows intersecting in the deep of Lake Minnetonka.
To talk about her is important because that's what she would want.
She's little sister, 31-year-old Lisa Olson, who Deanna describes as her better half.
And when she died, her cell phone survived the crash. And I remember on that hot summer, sitting in my car, dialing one friend after another to tell them my sister has been killed.
May 2001, morning rush hour. Lisa's pronounced dead on 494's roadside near her crumpled Jeep.
I thought, how could it happen and why did it happen?
Court documents say Lisa was actually a passenger, one of 4 people riding in her Jeep. One witness estimates the Jeep's speed at 70 to 75 miles per hour, changing lanes frequently before bumping a car and rolling.
The back seat and both of its occupants were ejected out of the vehicle.
State Patrol investigator Dan Beasley notes the Jeep wasn't excessively over the speed limit and says if the driver had obeyed the law, stayed in his lane, the crash could have been avoided.
This is what speed does. This is exactly what speed does. The speed limit is 60. This was over 60 miles an hour.
I was speeding. I know I was going over the speed limit. She died right in front of my eyes. You know?
The Jeep's driver, Tom Boughton's now doing time in Stillwater for the split-second crash.
I was trying to, get somewhere too fast when I didn't even have to. If I wouldn't have been speeding that day, I wouldn't be sitting here right now talking to you.
Boughton recalls taking the wheel to drive one of the passengers to work, and indeed, he doesn't remember running late, just going fast, rolling, and now living with Lisa's death.
How do you deal with it, What do you do? I tried to keep it out of my mind for as long as I could, but, I know this doesn't make up for it. I mean, me doing some time in prison, 3 years compared to her life.
The idea of erasing such an incredible person off the earth because of his careless driving and speeding, it's hard to comprehend.
Lisa's just one person representing a string of staggering statistics and ultimately shattered lives. In Minnesota alone, roughly 600 people die each year in crashes. And in 2001, authorities blamed a quarter of those deaths on speed, 158 in all. No single factors cited more often.
There isn't any other form of transportation that tolerates that level of loss.
Office of Traffic Safety Director Kathy Swanson believes Minnesotans keep driving faster. She sees it, reads the reports, and offers a warning.
Think a little bit about what speed you want to have a collision at.
Swanson says consider this. On roads where the speed limit legally increased in the late 90s, fatal and severe injury crashes jumped 39%. Remarkably, the laws of physics show the energy in a crash also increases 39% when colliding at 65 instead of 55. And speed's violence doesn't end at the dash.
The inside of your body keeps traveling just a little bit longer. And that can mean that if there's a lot of energy to be dissipated in a crash, your blood vessels rip apart. The aorta rips away from your heart.
I had to go and pick out my skirt and a shirt for my only sister to wear in her casket.
Deanna Olson still wears her sister's jacket. It's one reminder, as is driving.
Now I go the speed limit.
Deanna knows all too well it's far too easy to race across life's finish line.
Think about the people in the vehicle with you. Think about who's driving next to you, because it's a horrible thing that could happen if you don't think.
Greg Vandergrift, KARE-11 News.
Tonight was so clear, so pretty.
From the dawn of the electric age, Salt Lake City has treated the Wasatch Mountains to a nightly light show.
Awesome. Really cool.
For the past 17 nights,
gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
The mountain has returned the favor.
From downtown, it just appears, this whole thing just appears to be floating in the sky.
If the mountainside provided the canvas for Salt Lake's Olympic ovals,
it is awesome.
Bob Chambers delivered the paint.
As far as I know, nothing like this has ever been done before.
1,850 compact fluorescent bulbs strung together like a 100,000-watt strand of oversized Christmas lights.
Somebody from NASA said based on its size and its brightness, it's visible with the naked eye from the space station if it happened to pass overhead. I thought that was pretty cool.
230 feet tall, nearly 2 football fields wide. Powered by 2 gas generators dropped in by helicopter, serviced round the clock by a team of electricians who one night alone replaced 200 bulbs.
You always think about the guest experience, and the people in downtown, the people watching from the freeway, they're all our guests. When it starts to follow them around like the moon as they drive around town, then awe starts to set in because, you know, this thing literally tracks with them like the moon.
But while the moon is forever,
it'd be nice if they could stay.
Salt Lake's rings are a moment in time.
If it were to stay here, I think it would be tarnished after a while. It'd become not as special.
So let the light show go back to the city as the Winter Olympics and the mountain fade to black.
It gets a little dull.
Morris, Minnesota is a place where time can crawl by as slowly as the clouds.
It runs good enough for me.
Matt Nupin's trusty pickup is his salvation.
I've always really been into art.
Spiriting him away from all things humdrum.
Once I put tape on it, I was like, this is all right, I can deal with this.
This chemistry major deals by indulging his left-brained artistic side.
It's a lot cheaper than paint. It's easy. You know, it's like you can basically do whatever you want in a day, completely change how it looks, and so I went with that.
Matt used a ton of duct tape and a couple of styrofoam coolers to transform an oil-dripping has-been into a rolling sculpture that turns heads all over this college town.
It certainly turned that car into a beautiful aesthetic piece of art.
One girl told me that she wanted to have 10,000 of my babies. That was the biggest thing that I've gotten from a girl so far.
From tail fins and hood scales to a new trailer hitch cover, the project is still evolving.
There we go.
Layer by layer.
Not bad, it's pretty ugly, I like it.
I guess it's kind of an obsession with him, but he's pretty cool about it all. I mean, besides letting it get in the way of his homework sometimes.
Matt's no one-truck pony. There's a duct tape end table in his living room.
You can kind of bend it, and then it just kind of goes right back to normal.
And his brief journey into the world of lingerie.
And it's duct tape on the outside, and then the inside is lined with a t-shirt that Matt had, so it fits perfectly. It is adjustable straps.
If art truly does reflect the soul of its creator, then what is to be made of Matt's commitment to all things peel and stick?
That he's super creative.
And he really hates chemistry.
Yeah.
With producer Dana Theed, Mark Daly, KARE 11 News.
Okay, there you go, Gabby. See?
Sometimes the last few steps of a long journey
There's that cozy.
are the sweetest.
Fishies on the bus go swim, swim, swim. Swim, swim, swim. Swim, swim, swim.
After a cold, cruel winter, this is the day that Gabby Paquette and her family have been waiting for.
For her to hear the birds and see other kids playing, and it means everything.
6 months ago, John and Monica Paquette worried that this day might never come.
Swish, swish, swish. Swish, swish, swish. You're tired.
Shortly before her second birthday, doctors diagnosed Gabby with neuroblastoma, an aggressive cancer in her abdomen.
My only thoughts were, if she dies, I want to die. I'd go home and I would take a pillow over my head and just scream into it. Why? You know, just scream and scream and scream.
Did your sacky come off? For John, the most agonizing thought is imagining his 3.5-year-old daughter, Aubrey, growing up without her little sister.
Here's the tumor right here, this whole huge big thing there.
From the very beginning, doctors have been open and honest about Gabby's prognosis.
Neuroblastoma is a very hard tumor to cure, maybe 30 to 40% chance of being cured.
Heart. Should I draw a heart for you?
Yeah.
I just really believe that God is going to heal her.
Without their deep faith in God, Monica and John say that Gabby's ordeal would be absolutely unbearable.
It's one of the most difficult trials you can go through. The only trial that could be worse is the death of a child.
Who's that? Who's that?
Her little red dog Clifford by her side.
More stroller ride.
Gabby's losing her hair as she undergoes her 5th round of chemotherapy.
I don't look beyond tomorrow right now.
If it's tails, Gabby gets to falls.
In between chemo sessions, Gabby gets to go home.
You helping?
Oh, I'm helping you? Okay.
Her pancakes are topped off with syrup and syringes.
She gets this 3 times a day.
Despite all her tubes and medications, the Paquettes do their best to help Gabby have fun.
What's under here? What is that? What is that? Okay, all ready to go.
Later, after Monica leaves for work, John marvels at his wife's courage.
She's got a strength that's beyond belief.
Don't be worried. Okay?
5 months of chemo have shrunk Gabby's tumor, and moments from now, surgeons will try to remove the rest.
And Gabby, this might be your last surgery. You won't have to have surgery again.
We lay our hands on Gabby and we
Before the surgery, a family prayer.
Oh God, today we ask that you would go with her, God, that you would hold her in your hands.
Love you, sweetie. Jesus will hold you the whole time.
The delicate operation will last several hours, but right away, doctors like what they see.
The thing that strikes me the most is the monumental reduction in the size of this mass.
The chemotherapy seems to have worked wonders.
The primary tumor.
Gabby's tumor is now only 10 to 15% of its original size.
As they were approaching us down the hall, we could see big smiles on their faces. We knew that the news was going to be good.
That was probably the best I felt throughout this.
How's she doing? Oh, she's overwhelmed.
Less than a month later, at a fundraiser organized by friends and family, the mood is upbeat.
This is wonderful that people have done this.
Few except John and Monica realize that a recent CAT scan shows signs of a new tumor.
I remember John and I were just stunned. It's like, well, how could these tumors grow during intense chemo?
Where is Shadowby? Give Dad a kiss?
Despite earlier promises, another surgery is scheduled for Gabby.
Can you breathe through your mouth, honey bunny?
But her lungs are filled with fluid, and the surgery will have to be postponed.
Okay. I just think right now that the risks of proceeding are not worth the benefits.
The next several days, doctors and nurses do everything they can to help Gabby get better.
It's okay, Pumpkin. You know, there are times when you're doing stuff to her, where she's screaming or crying that
But a week passes, and Gabby gets worse, not better.
There is a chance that this airway can compress and we won't be able to breathe for her.
A tumor near Gabby's lungs is rapidly growing.
We're going to take great care of your baby.
And despite the danger, doctors now feel they have no choice but to operate.
We're in this spot where we have to do something that's risky and that she possibly may not survive it. But we know that if we don't do anything, she won't survive.
Yet again, the Paquettes must say goodbye to their daughter.
Yeah, sweet dreams, sweetie. Gabby, Jesus will be in here, okay? I love you, sweetie. Mama loves you.
that was one of the most difficult things I think I've had to do.
While doctors operate,
Father, my family needs you.
Monica prays.
I beg you to save Gabrielle.
The waiting is the hardest part.
And I still have my faith, but I know sometimes children die.
That's clearly the tumor right there.
Several hours after the surgery begins, a doctor brings good news.
The main bulk of the tumor was successfully removed, almost all of it. So we felt very good about that.
You're a special baby, Gabby.
Watching her recover in the pediatric intensive care unit, John and Monica take nothing for granted.
With God and friends and family, we got another day.
We went into it knowing that things could turn out very bad, and things turned out very well. So to me, today was a miracle, and I'm ever grateful.
In the weeks that follow, Gabby's condition fluctuates up and down. At a low point, doctors tell the Paquettes it may be time to merely keep Gabby comfortable.
Please, Father.
Alone, together in the chapel, John and Monica decide to let God's will be done and discontinue Gabby's chemotherapy.
We just don't want to see her suffer anymore.
But 2 days later, another miracle.
Something came upon Gabby that just said, you know, no, I'm not ready yet.
There's been a lot of miracles.
Gabby's bounced back well enough to resume chemotherapy
Show Daddy.
and to celebrate this day in the sun with her mom and dad and her big sister.
Is it fun to be at the park? Where'd Clifford go?
Daddy.
Oh, Daddy has Clifford?
The last few steps on this long and difficult journey may still lie ahead.
Gabby.
But oh, how sweet today is.
I still have a lot of peace and hope that everything's going to be fine.
Mark Daly,
It's going high.
KARE 11 News.
Out of control.